Hey, once again, my name is Wilmer, and thank you so much for checking out this YouTube channel. Before we get into it, I just want to apologize for my appearance. I've been in quarantine for a couple of days now. I haven't had the chance to go into the barbershop, so excuse the facial features, if you will. Let's talk about this video here today and why I want to create this channel. The main focus of this channel is to talk about my weight loss journey, and I hope to inspire other people if they feel stuck or if they're in the same situation as I am or I was. I want you to use this video as a motivational tool so that way you can know that you're not alone. There are other people struggling with weight loss, and this whole year has been a shit show. A lot of people have gained a lot of weight during this year, myself included. So again, the main focus of this channel is to talk about my weight loss, but I also want to talk about my personal growth. I want to show you and tell you who I used to be so that you get a better understanding of who I am and where I come from. When I started this channel, it was around 2008, and at that time I was weighing around 420 pounds, which is crazy. During that point in my life, I was in a really dark place, and I didn't grow up with many friends. I was kind of the shy one in the family, and also I turned to online gaming and food for comfort. I spent about 6 years playing this one stupid game. It was an online role-playing game, and I spent about 6 years developing my characters, creating new characters, and leveling up. One day the admins decided, you know what, we're gonna remove the game, and that was the end of it. I didn't really know what else to do with my life because I was so used to just playing the video games. I didn't have any skills. I didn't know what to do or where to go. I decided to go back to school because I had dropped out of high school. I dropped out because one, I was playing a lot of video games and skipping a lot of classes. I would cut class to go to my friend's house and just play video games all day. So you could tell what kind of student I was. Sometimes even when I would go to my uncle's house, I would download the game and just play over the weekend. I didn't really pay attention to my uncles and my cousins, and looking back at it, I can tell that they were really annoyed because I would go and visit them, but I will never interact with them. So I apologize. So back to my high school, I ended up just quitting. I ended up dropping out because, again, my addiction to video games and my addiction to food. And on top of that, I also had an appendix surgery. In some of my old videos, you're gonna see some scar that I have here on my belly. And that's because even in high school, I was over 300 pounds. When they did the surgery, it was like an emergency surgery because my appendix almost ruptured. When they went to stitch the surgery, the scar, it was a little too wide of a gap, so they had to use staples in order to bring everything together. I was in the hospital and I was sent home early. I ended up getting an infection which caused a lot of pain. I had to go back to the hospital. They removed all the pus and all the bacteria from the infection, and they didn't close the wound back up. It kind of sucked, but I also felt relieved because I didn't have that pressure building up inside of me. The doctors decided to just leave the wound open, and over time, I would say maybe 5 months in, then it started to close. So that's why I have a big gap. Now, what this ended up doing is it kind of put me in a position where I was really comfortable at just staying in bed, eating all the time, and playing video games. That's where I started developing this habit of gaming and eating. But the eating was way before, my whole life, my whole childhood, I struggled with eating a lot. And I used to just eat for comfort. My parents weren't around all the time, but guess who was? The food was there, so I would just eat. After, the game shut down, I decided to move on with my life. I applied to get my GED, and I ended up going to college. I decided to become an electronical engineer. Now, I really didn't know what that was at the time. I was talking to the advisor. I explained to her that I'm really good with computers, so that's what she recommended, and I just went for it. Looking back at it, I kind of wish I did something with photography or graphic designing because that's a passion of mine that I will also talk about in different videos. In college, that's when everything started to change for me. I remember going to the bookstore and I saw this one chick there. I was just struck by her beauty, and I couldn't really approach her. But when I went to go pay for my books, she was the person helping me, and I couldn't even look her in the eyes without actually feeling a type of way. Like, I thought she was the most beautiful girl that I have ever seen in my life, and I was too shy to talk to her. So I ended up just paying for my books and like leaving. A few days later, I was waiting for the elevator, and that same chick comes to wait by the elevator with me. We go inside the elevator, and another lady comes in the elevator with us. This is where kind of my life took a turn. It was a blessing in disguise. It was like a gift and a curse at the same time, because when the lady came into the elevator, I had previously gone to the cafeteria, so I had food in my hands. The doors close, and the lady looks at me and says, "Stop eating so much of that food because you're getting too fat, and I can see it coming out of your neck." I didn't know what to do. I felt so embarrassed, and the girl was just there. She didn't look at me. She didn't acknowledge what the person said, and I was so sad. I just fell into this whole depression thing, and I left school that day. I cut all my classes short. I went home and just started crying. I don't know what else to say, or like what I was thinking at that point in time. I was just really, really sad, and it hurt a lot what that person said to me. At that point is when I decided that I wanted to change who I was, and I wanted to change what I've become, and I knew that I deserved better than the way they were treating me. I became determined. I started reading a lot of books. I started researching how to lose weight, how to gain confidence, and I started applying everything that I read. I started researching different diets, and I started actually applying everything that I learned, and went to the gym, started drinking a lot more water. I stopped eating a lot of junk food, stopped drinking a lot of soda. Eventually, people started to notice that I was actually losing weight. I remember, because I was so shy of actually going out to work out, that I bought the game Dance Dance Revolution, and I bought a PlayStation 2. I set that up in my room, and I was just dancing. I didn't know how to dance, and I was like super nervous, but I tried my best. I ended up just dancing, recording everything on the little PlayStation memory card, and it was a lot of fun. I had the mat and everything. It was a lot of fun. I guess I stuck with it because it didn't feel like I was actually working out. It just felt like I was dancing. And, looking back at it, it was like that point in my life was really a good time for myself. Like, I started connecting with myself. So started to lose the weight, and my confidence started to build up as the number on the scale went down. Eventually, I saw the girl that I had a crush on. I finally worked up the courage to ask her out, and she said yes. What she told me next, stopped my heart, because I didn't expect it. She told me, "When I first saw you in the bookstore, I thought you were cute, and I wanted to shoot myself in the foot or something." Because there I am at that time, not able to talk to her, and she's thinking that I'm cute. It was a missed opportunity. I look back at it now, I don't think it was a missed opportunity. It's just, maybe I wasn't ready for it. We ended up dating for about 5 months, and things happened in the relationship. I don't blame her fully. I also blame myself, because remember, I didn't have a social life. I didn't know how to deal with certain emotions, and I didn't know how to properly speak with other people. So I had a lot of insecurities, and again, I don't blame her at all. She ended up finding someone else. At that time, I was really hurt, but looking at it now, it doesn't really bother me as much. I did love her a lot, but that's just the way it goes, right? After we broke up, that's when I started going to the gym a lot harder, being more determined, being more strict with my diet and what I ate. And I just kind of developed the mindset to just keep pushing forward. And that led to a lot of opportunities. And one of the opportunities is that I was able to work out with celebrity fitness trainer Shaun T from Beachbody.com. I was sponsored by that group They paid for my gym membership at Equinox. They paid for my supplements. They paid for my food. I was on TV. I did a commercial with them, photo shoots. Like, it was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was living. I never experienced anything like that before. And I was like really happy and really humbled with everything that was going on. The only thing that I kind of wasn't happy with was my finance. So at the time, I used to work at a retail shop and I was fixing computers. I was there for about 3 years and it was really fun. I really liked my coworkers and everything was good. The only thing, I didn't like the pay. So an opportunity came where I was able to leave that job and go work for a correctional facility for more money. This is the second turn in my life where things actually started going downhill. You know, college was going up, you know, where I changed for the better. This job change is where I went down and changed for the worse. At first it was okay, but working at a correctional facility does something to you mentally. It breaks you down. I'm gonna speak more about this on another video, but the gist of it is that the coworkers treated me badly. You can just imagine walking around the facility, what the inmates would say to me. You know, I worked in the medical portion of the correctional facility, so I used to interact a lot more with the doctors, the nurses, and some of the patients. Security guards also were at times really rude. Some of them were really nice, but for the majority of them, they were really rude just because that environment kind of does that to you. So after 3 years of being in that environment, you know, it really got to me and I had enough. I wanted to leave. So that's exactly what I did. I ended up finding another job that paid about the same with no inmates. The next job I went to was a Japanese company. At first, it was like a dream come true because I studied the Japanese language. I really loved the culture. I used to also volunteer my time at this organization where we teach non-native speakers either English or Japanese. So we had Japanese native speakers in the organization. We would teach them English. And if we had English native speakers, we would teach them Japanese. So it was a great environment for people that wanted to learn both languages, either English or Japanese. I was doing the organization and then working at a Japanese company. Little by little, my responsibilities started to stack and I started feeling overwhelmed. But instead of taking a step back, what I ended up doing was turning to food again and alcohol. So I started looking forward to the weekend because that gave me an excuse to start drinking a lot and eating a lot with my new friends. Remember, growing up, I didn't have many friends. So now that I was actually making friends, I felt lucky in a sense. I felt like, wow, I got friends. I'm like cool. I can be social now that I have friends. Next thing I knew, I was coming back up on the scale. I was like 250. And people would tell me like, hey man, you know, you told me that you wanted to be a personal fitness trainer and you going to the gym and you told me that you're sticking to the diet, but here you are every weekend eating and drinking and gaining the weight. So what's going on? In my head, I'm like, yo, I already did this once. I can do it again. So I don't really have to listen to you. You weren't there for me when I needed it the first time. So don't try to come into the picture now, you know, and that was very arrogant of me at the time. And that was kind of like people trying to step on my ego. And yeah, I didn't take any advice. I just kind of ignored them. I just said like, okay, yeah, whatever, and just continued partying. You know, I just kept up with that same routine for another 3 years, and next thing I knew, I was back at 330, 350. I just kept gaining the weight, and I didn't know, but at the time, the organizer for that non-profit organization was really manipulative, and he would say things that would not affect me then and there, but they would affect me like later on in my life. At that point in time, I really didn't know what was going on. I just was happy that I was surrounded by people, by friends. Whether they treated me bad or good kind of didn't bother me at the time because, again, I was happy to be around people. Here I am now, 330 pounds. You know, I just continue eating and continue going the way I was. It didn't really bother me, honestly, because I had the food and I had movies and games to keep me feeling comfortable and good. But this year, 2020, hit everyone pretty hard. I had a lot of time to reflect. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of family members. You know, there's one friend that when I heard he had passed away, that kind of like rocked my world. And one of my cousins also passed away. So I figured I have to change my life. I have to change the way I live because I may not get the opportunity later on. And again, 2020 was a year for me to truly sit down and reflect on everything. I had coronavirus back in April, and the reason why I'm in quarantine right now is because my mother has it. This is her second time. She recently had a stroke, and everything has been super tough for me. So I'm gonna go into this a little bit more in depth on another video, but I wanted to share with you everything that's been going on because I want to be honest, I want to be open, and I want to accept who I am, and I want to accept my past. I know that I can never change it. I know that I can never go back. Unless you build a time machine, then like, yo, hit me up. But I know that I can never change it. If I had the opportunity to change it, would I? I don't think so, because that kind of made me who I am today. If I didn't go through all those difficult times in my life, I wouldn't have the appreciation I do for things that I have now. I really hope that you stick around on this journey, because 2021, I have it in my head that I'm gonna make things happen. I'm sick and tired of starting over, of telling people that I'm going to make it happen. I am sick and tired of stopping whenever I make a little bit of progress. I would take 1, 2, 3, 4 steps forward and maybe 5 to 8 steps backward. I would always blame my circumstances or the people around me and never myself. So I want to do this for me. I don't want to do this for anyone else except for me. I want to feel good. I want to live longer. I want to have fun the way I used to. I'm gonna go into also a little bit about what I do now. I am a photographer now. If you see this photo behind me, it's one of the photos that I've taken. And as a photographer, as an overweight photographer, I can tell you that it is super hard on your knees. I know that other people have done it and I do it too, but at a certain point, your knees are going to be hurting. Anyway, I'm going to continue sharing my stories on here. I'm going to continue sharing who I am, what I've done in the past. And I just don't want it to be about my past. I also want it to be about my future and take you guys along with me on the journey. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe, turn on the notifications. I'm going to try my best to make a video every week. If not, at least every 2 weeks, I'll make one video. It all depends on the time that I have, because again, remember, my mom is very sick. She recently had a stroke, so I'm kind of like taking care of her. I cook for her and I clean around the house. I do errands as well. So again, my name is Wilmer, and thanks for checking out my channel. All right, one more thing. I want to give a quick shout out to my friend Michael Martinez for actually pushing me to make these videos. I really appreciate it, and if I didn't meet you, I don't think I would actually have gone through with the videos. So thank you very much.